Hello, everybody. How are you on Monday afternoon? I'm hoping this is going to work because I can already see a lag time in my syncing of voice and what's coming through on the screen. But anyway, I'll do my best to. I just wanted to go live this afternoon to offer you one of my true stories. I have many that I have decided I'm going to be placing either through here on the page or through YouTube. Um, I'm placing them out there because they are the truth, they are my truth, they are real experiences, and I think true, genuine experience goes a long way as opposed to reading information or being told about things from someone else's journey. But it follows on particularly from the post that I wrote today about the power of love, that love is a force. And I really want to start promoting this, that the energy and the word of what love really is, because we've kind of had a nice emotional attachment to what love is, and it kind of makes us feel warm and fuzzy and things like that. And we have a perception of how we perceive love in our world or how we wish to receive love in our world. But I want to really offer everybody who's ready to listen that this force that love is the most powerful energy that we can ever utilize in our world and our being. It took me a long time to understand this too, I can tell you, but I think this story was actually pivotal for me, and it happened back in 2001, so a long time ago. But it was one of the major turning points for me in understanding energy and being shown fear versus love. Because truthfully, I was an extremely fearful person, probably the most negative, fearful person walking the planet. And I have said this before, and I don't say it lightly. I mean it. The lineage of women in my family, my mother, my grandmother particularly, and the world is full of fear. But in my particular family, we even orchestrated on another level a genetic condition of the blood of where the blood wouldn't flow. And again, if blood's not flowing, energy is not flowing, as I learned to understand what that is, it was just how much fear we were carrying through our lineage that I have chosen to shift for all timelines and future timelines. But anyway, the story that I wanted to put forth for you today to sit with, digest, turn off from, I don't really mind, it's entirely up to you. Happened back in 2001, as I said, and it was at the time of the Twin Tower, plane attacks, supposedly. So with that, of course, I was finishing my nursing at that stage. My nursing career had come home late when this was all taking place. And of course, it was shocking, as it was for all of us, us Westerners, my God, the Western attack, oh, this is dreadful. And as I sat with that, I had started doing my spiritual work and was doing some groups with my aunt, etc. Anyway, she called a vigil for the next night for the souls who had passed over during the Twin Towers. And of course, I wanted to be there. Yes, whatever I could do, I had to go. So she was in Wollongong and I was in Sydney at the time, and I was driving down. And it was a really interesting time because I was very visual then. And again, this is how the lower ego will trick you. I had a master come through and sit with me in the car who was El Moria at the time, supposedly, who I thought it was. We were talking. He was telling me all about how there'll be more attacks, how, that I'm aware and I'm alert, so I need to be alerting authorities, and that this was going to be indicative shortly, and I needed to do this, this, and this. And by the time I got actually down to Wollongong, I was in a right royal state and was in panic, thinking, well, how are they going to believe me? And if I know about it, they'll think that I'm involved, or fear, the drama that we create with fear. And my aunt, God love her, said to me after she listened to me, she just said, get outside and get rid of that stuff, because that's not okay. It is not love. It is fear, and you have attracted a lower energy that is attaching to your fear and playing through that fear. So I said, okay, fine, got that, sage, smudge, cut ties, la-di-da. So anyway, cut to the chase. We went in to do the meditation. And I remember clearly there was many of us there in her lounge room, and we were doing the vigil, and she was directing us where to go. And of course, we all wanted to go to New York. And she's saying, you know, we're traveling to New York. And I could hear her directing this beautiful, energetic flow of where everyone was going. And I could see all these other people going there. And as they're all going to New York, I'm the only one going this direction. And I remember going, hang on a minute. I can see them all heading that way to New York, but where am I going? No. And I was in this, as we do go into our head in meditation, thinking, no, I don't want to be here. I want to be with the group, and I want to head that direction, and I want to do the good work, and I want to help the poor souls that have died, and all this stuff that was going on in my head at the time. But I continued going in the other direction. So I had to go with it because I kept fighting for as long as I was resisting, but it didn't work. So anyway, of course, where did I end up? I ended up over the Middle East. And I remember hovering, standing, however you want to say at the time in my vision, being very, very adamant that I did not want to be here. I was angry. I did not want to have anything to do with the Middle East at that point in time. I was in my judgment. I was in all aspects of fear. No, no, no. I want to be where, you know, the good people were, and I want to help them, and I don't want to be over here at all. And I remember again standing there, and Master Lady Nada, who was Mary Magdalene at her physical level, but her ascended level is Lady Nada, and she is the keeper of the flame of love and twin to the Master Jesus. She appeared before me. And I remember looking at her going, why am I here? I don't want to be here. You know, I need to be in New York. Why have you brought me here? And she said nothing for a while. And she said, you are here to learn after some time. And I said, well, what on earth can I learn here? You know, this is just not where I want to be. And she said, you need to observe and watch. And I thought, well, that's all well and good, you know, and I'm a bit hoity-toity with the deities at times. And so as I stood there, she drifted to the distance, and she was just emanating this incredible crimson pink light, just this beautiful aura. And I was still not wanting to be there. Anyway, the next thing I saw coming towards me was this big ball of black, dark energy. And I just remember hovering in that space, thinking, oh, what is this? Instantly feeling all the responses, the reactions, as we do when we go into anxiety, into fear, held on the subconscious and unconscious levels as well as the conscious. And as I'm just standing there, this blackness was just growing and growing. And as it's growing, I'm going into more and more fear. And so the more fear that I held, the more resistance that I held, the greater this thing became, until it truly was presenting before me as this unbelievably tall, dark Lord. And I stood there in absolute terror and panic. And these are the tests that we will put ourselves through. And you don't all have to do this one. But I remember having to then center myself, which is our gift to us all. As soon as we are in any state of fear, we are conscious, center, align, use the tools, as I always say, that you've got to bring you back out of the drama, out of that energy, to center yourself again. So, of course, Violet Flame I was. I was asking, pleading with Lady Nada, help me, help me. No, she just stood in the background and watched. And then I realized, only you can do this, Marie. You have to step up here. And it was just growing, and I felt like I was shrinking as it grew, before me. And then all of a sudden I realized, and I just thought, I have to give love. And then I heard her say, love. Just simply the word love. And I thought, I can't even summon love in me right now. I am so panic stricken. How on earth can I love this thing I'm fearing in absolute intensity? And it was just this, on some level within me, give love, send love. And I remember just going, okay, love, love, love. And it was like just growing and growing, because I didn't mean it. I hadn't given it my momentum, my true intention. I certainly hadn't reached critical mass threshold until it was that will, repetitive, do, affirm, that sometimes we just have to keep doing until we feel that solar plexus shift and we start to believe in what we're doing. Excuse me. And so I willed it and kept saying it and saying it. And then all of a sudden I could feel that I was building that love energy in me, and I started to project it. Then I could start to see the hues of pink and crimson emanate from me. Then I could start to see the stream. And so that just buoyed me to keep going and going. And as we do, we get stronger and stronger. Here was the greatest teaching. As I sent my love continuously, without fear, without doubt now, because it was in this space of past critical mass of 51%. What I then witnessed was how this energy of darkness before me started to just dissipate, bit by bit by bit. The more that I amplified, the more that I drove the energy of love and the power of the force of love and gave it my absolute intention, it just diminished. It was just fading and dissolving away into nothingness. Until finally, I mean, that in itself was amazing for me to watch, thinking, my God, I have the power to activate and do this. I don't need anybody. So the more I did it, eventually this whole black shroud of darkness dissolved to this tiny little puddle in nothingness of no time nor space. And eventually it all dissolved. But then what I saw was how my world changed from that day. And what I was shown then, and we will always get at how we need to see it and what terms and frames of reference we can deal with. But what I was shown by Lady Nada and my higher self was just this lantern left behind, this very small, and I think it was gold in its shape and design. And in the center was this very low pink crimson flame of this being, this fear, this energy that had presented before me, almost diminished. And I just stood there and thought, oh my God, this is the teaching of all the fear in the world. People we fear, thoughts we fear, people we judge, those who we perceive to be heinous, to be dark, to be terrorists, to be whatever we give our label of fear, in truth that we see them as. Every single one of us, which we know in the greater teaching, has evolved from the source of the creator, spark, flame itself, including these people we choose to judge, separate, divide, box, limit. We are all the same deep within. We all have the flame, the creator spark. Now the difference is that these beings that we perceive as less than, in their darkness, in their roles that they are playing for us, as this one did for me, their flame of love is diminished. And Lady Nada then said to me, what will you do now? And I said, it's not for me to withhold my love from anybody. It's not for me to withhold in judgment my love from anybody. Because as we step out of our stuff and our judgment and our fear, this flame absolutely absolves every piece of darkness vibration on the planet and beyond. It is not our right in highest truth to absolve and hide and withhold the flame of love from anybody. They're a choice, we can. But the truth is, if we want to see this world change, as Martin Luther said in the post that I wrote earlier today, love is the force of power. Love is the way forward. Love is the answer. And love will be, in this sense, when we add our intention to it, we give it our true velocity and our force of will, divine free will, to raise and give that being, that person, the opportunity with our love and grace, the chance for their flame to grow. That's all we do. We don't fix it for them. We don't change their world. We give them, in the moment of our grace, the opportunity for them, for their flame to recognize, to receive, and to run with their potential if so be. But truth is knowing what love really is, and truth is at the highest level knowing that I have no right to withhold the creative flow, the creator energy, the creator force of love, the creator spark. It is not in my divine highest good to withhold that from anyone. And if I am balanced, then I allow that to flow through equally to every man, woman, and child upon this planet. If I'm in judgment, I'm in fear. And if I'm in fear, I withhold the flame of love. That's it. So I hope that you understand what I've said, and I hope that kind of helps in some way. And just even another little added story to that very quickly was years ago, again, a little bit after, or maybe before, I can't remember now, but another lesson in judgment in that sense of love and withholding love and my perception of who deserves it and who doesn't. You know, that's ego again at work. And I went across an accident, a fatality, and my middle one was only preschool age at that time, and she knew telepathically straight away, Mum, someone's died. They've died up here. We didn't even know it was an accident at that point. We were in traffic lineup, and she said, someone's dead up there. And as we got there, it was a fatality. And on the way home, sometime after about 10 minutes, I could hear a voice saying, help me, help me, help me. I thought I was going crazy. And as I went home, I kept hearing this voice. I said, I don't know who you are. And then when I had the time to sit her down and tune in, again, my beloved aunt, I rang and said, I don't know what's going on here because I hadn't done these things before. And explained it all. And she said, well, it's the soul who's passed who is asking you for assistance because they don't know they're passed over. So when we three tuned to him, he was a young man, and I could see his clothes very clearly. He was very young, probably 20 if that, and he had no idea that he was dead. It was very sudden, and so I helped him to pass over, and that was another part of my training. And it took some time because he was angry. He didn't know. He really was quite adamant, as when they pass unexpectedly, they can see themselves still physical for some time, but eventually he did go. The next level of teaching for me was later in the week in the local paper, where it said that these boys had robbed and gunshot in a robbery near the same area, and they had ended up in a fatality, and one was killed and the other two were injured. And then I just knew, oh my God, this was this boy. Then I went into, I've helped someone over that created a robbery. Oh my God, that shot someone dead, and I've helped them pass over. The next level of teaching for me was that discernment again of this is bigger than the souls. It's not about that level and about me moving through my judgment and recognizing that we are all contracted to assist certain souls at certain times. At the highest soul level, he's not a criminal, and he will have to address his karmic issues accordingly on the other side, and he will. But at this level, it is not for me as an energy light worker. It is to be absolutely balanced, to be non-judgmental, to be as clear a vessel for Great Spirit as I can possibly be, which was one of my next tests about allowing and moving through this process in how my job in being the loving light and to the best that I can be is to offer this freely without judgment. And that is for all of us to remember, to the best of our abilities. And we'll find our tests, we'll create our tests. But ultimately, the love aspect is that it is a vibration well above fear. And as I wrote, in the love vibration, those beings that are truly in love don't see anything less than. They don't see. They can observe and witness, but they're not engaged, they don't connect, and they don't devolve to play the game of fear. In fact, if we can evolve ourselves to that incredible level of love equally, the greatest gift of being at that level of love is to continuously flood it, flood the planet, offer it freely wherever you go, flood your families, flood yourself, okay, first and foremost. These are the way forward. Love is absolutely the answer to every question without any other thought of what the answer might be. So have a little think on that, a bit of ponder. I'm open to questions. If there's any doubts or, thoughts about it, please throw the questions my way. Happy to help. But I know since those two occurrences how I have looked on all of my world and people who I've ever judged, and I was a big judger. I don't judge anymore. I just know they're presenting, everyone presents for me for the greatest mirror of my consciousness teaching and rebalance within myself. And as we do that, that's when we reach that wonderful point of love within, and that's when we really start to see the changes in our being, in our immediate world, and in the greater picture of all that is. Okay, so thanks for your time, and I just wanted to share that, as I said, and I hope that makes some sense. But anyway, have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this little post. Okay, take care. Bye.